This episode of the Gamerheads Podcast is brought to you by Seven Bridges Premium Gourmet Yum Yum Sauce. Enhance every bite with our savory blends of flavors, perfect for meats, vegetables, and crispy treats. Whether you're dipping, drizzling, marinating, grilling, roasting, or snacking, Seven Bridges Yum Yum Sauce takes your culinary experience to the next level. Get yours today and make every meal a gourmet delight.
Hi, I'm Celia Schilling from Yacht Club Games.
Hey, this is James from Megacat Studios.
Hey folks, this is Matt, aka Stormageddon from Reignite and the Fun and Games Podcast.
This is Stephanie from the Boss Rush Podcast and the Boss Rush Network.
Hey, this is Mark and Keon from Bunte Avond.
Hey, this is Sebastian with the ProNerdReport.com and the Single Player Experience Podcast.
Hi, this is Chris.
Mike.
And Garrett from Daylight Basement Studio.
Hey, this is Baron J67 from Level 1 Gaming.
Hi, I'm Jacob McCourt from the Left Behind Game Club, Crossplay Conversations, and Video Game Trivia.
Hey, this is Todd Mitchell from Code Right Play.
Salutations, this is Mike Carroll from Stroll Art.
Hey, this is Jeff Moonen from Fun and Games Podcast.
What's good, y'all? This is Adam from Respawn Aimfire.
Hey, this is Patrick from the Backlog Odyssey.
Hey, this is Rune from Runic Codes.
Hi, this is Andrew from Spalato Bros.
Hi, everyone. Jill Grodt here from the Indie Informer.
Hello, this is the Crypt Master, and you're listening to Roger You're listening to Roger on the Gamerheads Podcast.
And welcome to a very special Valentine's Day edition of the Gamerheads Podcast. Oh, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the Gamerheads Podcast.
Amazing.
I know. I was really excited about that music. I worked really hard to find that music today.
It paid off. That was a great intro.
Thanks. Welcome to the Gamerheads Podcast. My name is Roger. Along with me are my good friends and co-hosts. We have Jake.
Hello.
And Zeb. Zeb, you're a little quiet. You want, if you don't know if you can.
Oh, whoa.
There we go. And returning for I don't know what this the 200th time. Jill Grodt from the Indie Informer.
Hello,
welcome.
everyone.
See, I don't know. Are you from the Indie Informer? Are you the Indie Informer?
It's sort of a both situation.
Okay.
So either will work. Or you can do both every time. It's cumbersome, but if that's what you want to do, it's your show.
Well, because you've grown.
I have grown.
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot tall now.
Yeah, I know. Last time I saw you, I was like, whoa, I'm really short. I am really short. Actually, I probably have to still look up to you, even if you weren't 6 foot tall. But
I am fairly tall as a human being in general.
And I'm fairly short.
But then you had surgery, so now
that's true.
You've got a couple of inches.
That's true. I did ask. Did I tell you that? I asked if they could make me
they
taller.
could give you more.
Yeah. And he said I have to call you Eileen if I did that because you'd only be tall on one side.
That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. I was hoping that I'd have some kind of superpowers. I could jump tall buildings in a single bound with
They haven't shown up yet?
No, they haven't.
Oh,
I guess just walking is probably a superhero enough. Yeah, exactly.
I remember you promised me cartwheels. And I don't know, Jake or Zeb, have you seen any of these cartwheels yet?
No, but I think I know what I'm asking for in May.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're going to watch you, Roger. They're going to watch.
They're also coming to PAX in May, so.
Oh, that's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I also think I'm doing that.
I know. That's exciting. And there's not going to be any cartwheels, I'm sorry. I can't do cartwheels, so. Sorry, I tried. I actually broke my other hip doing it. So anyway, welcome to the show, Jill. I know this is your 200th millionth time being on the show, but in case this is the first time anybody's ever heard you on the show,
yes.
Do you want to tell people about yourself?
I feel like it's been a long time since I've done the spiel. I need to remember what it is. My name is Jill Grodt. I started out in the game journalistic space as an intern for Game Informer, who then later picked me up as a full-time employee. So Game Informer is in my blood, and when things went south for my generation of layoffs, I left to start the Indie Informer, which is a site all about indie games and my love for them. And it's just there to share all the amazing indie games that are happening. And there are a lot of them this year. So I think I'm going to be able to talk about that.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't on the schedule, I would do it, Roger.
The show has now become the Indie Informer show.
The Indie Informer show. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
How long have you been doing the Indie Informer now? Like, how many years has it been?
It's been like at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Because it always comes up as a surprise. It still feels very much like I just started like a month or so ago. But yeah, no, since starting, like it was me for a long time. Then I started a Patreon. Then I started bringing on new people. Most recently, we have like Marcus and Charles and Wes, who all, of course, I assume that everybody knows who's listening, but just in case you don't, Game Informer went the way of the dodos, unfortunately. And so a lot of informers were floating around. I'm like, hey, I've got an informing site. Y'all should come inform over here. So nice little team. It doesn't, you never stop really being a Game Informer. You just float onto other informing things.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, yeah. So you all do really fantastic work over there. And
thank you so much.
And I'm always really grateful that you still agree to come on to my show.
It's always so much fun. You let me go off the rails so far is the thing. So many other people are like, Jill, you need to just sit there and smile, please.
Not me. No, not this show. It's like, Jill, go off. I
literally took over the show 2 minutes ago. I don't know if you noticed, Roger.
That's true. Well, there's not much of a organization to this show, so it's like
the intro was amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
That was made up on the fly. So welcome to the show. I'm glad that you're here.
So much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and we got a lot to talk about. Before we get into all the things we'll talk about, because we're going to talk about indie games that you're going to be suggesting. We're going to talk about games we're playing. Before we get into all that, though, I should welcome all our patrons to the show. And Jill, you're one of the patrons. So
I'm one of those patrons.
Yeah.
Welcome me again.
welcome to the show. Welcome, Jill. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Matt. Thank you. And Adam, thank you so much for supporting the Gamerheads podcast. We really appreciate it. And listener, for as low as $3 a month, you can support the Gamerheads podcast as well. Just go to patreon.com/Gamerheads podcast. I had to think about that. Is it the full Gamerheads podcast? It is. And
just
there
keep typing in Gamerheads until
you'll find it. You'll find it. Yeah. Or you can go to our website at gamerheadspodcast.com and you'll find it there too. Yeah. So that helps us put on such spectacular shows as this. Well organized, spectacular shows as this.
Exactly.
So thank you for your support. Before we get into the games that we're playing, and I do want to do a Valentine's Day, esque kind of activity. I do have a icebreaker here. Now, this is actually from one of our patrons, and they said we should do a segment called Dating for Dorks. And I don't know what she meant by that, if she thinks that we're dorks or something. I don't know. But she thought we could give some tips for those that are maybe single during this Valentine's Day season, and maybe give some tips for those that are looking for love in the in the dorky realm. I don't know.
Yeah, you've got your basic eldritch spells. Those work well.
That is
first place to start, Roger. It's 101.
That is the first start. That's right. I guess my tip for anybody that's looking for love is stop looking. The moment you stop looking is the moment you'll find love. I don't know.
No, go join like it's hard to say an activity, because that's for anyone in our space, especially me. I'm like, I don't really want to go out in public and like meet new people. Like that sucks. But like I've joined like D&D groups, especially ones where you can just kind of drop in for the night when you're feeling particularly like energized, and you can get yourself out there and do that. You can join, like, start small, join Discords. You know, Roger's got a lovely Gamerheads Discord you can go check out. Maybe you'll connect with people. But yeah,
probably not, but maybe.
You know, it's possible. Find people with shared interests.
That's true. That's true. I think the only people that are in the Gamerheads group really is us, and I think we're all taken.
Roger's
I
a little
could be
taken.
wrong. Yeah, but maybe other people joining. But no, that's a good tip. Like joining Discord groups or joining groups that you meet somebody else that have the same interests. Because that's what I was said. That's actually how I met my wife, is through theater.
Love it.
Yeah. So, Jake or Zeb, do either of you have any tips for dating this?
And it can't be a pair of handsome gentlemen. Of
Yes,
course.
that's true. That's true.
Oh, we already got that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be
I've been out of
yourself.
this. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds cheesy, but I mean, that's how I found my wife. She's a dork too. If you're a dork, you want another dork. So be a dork. You'll find another dork.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, listen, it's been over 20 years since I haven't dated, so I can't really
here's
help
something
anybody.
I was thinking about this earlier, because being a woman in the space is unusual. It's not a typically common thing. So there are some issues I've never thought about, because any partner I would go after would tend to be in this space and a fan of video games. Like I wouldn't pick a partner who didn't enjoy or approve of video games, but so many of my like fellow peers who are male have a lot of seeming problem with finding women who are in this space. And I was like, that's such a bizarre thing, because so many people who I know who are dating people are not dating people from, well, first of all, media. That's a problem in and of itself. But like who enjoy gaming as their thing that they do.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how I would do that. I need a like my partner is a big fan of video games. We share different spheres of the video game world. But to have someone in my life who wouldn't understand, like, oh, big game's coming out tomorrow, I'm going to wipe my calendar, take off work, and do that the entire day, like would be a fundamental clash.
Can I ask you a question? Because you have a podcast besides coming on the Gamerhead podcast.
I
you
do.
actually have your own podcast.
We had one, and we had very love-themed indies to talk about this time.
I didn't get a chance to listen yet, but I did see it come through my inbox, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one." Does your significant other listen to the podcast?
I don't think so.
Mine doesn't.
I don't think anyone I've ever talked to's significant other actually listens to their or reads their content. I think that's a little too much of that person. And there's also too, it's just we are our authentic selves. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
But we're more ourselves and on video and on content.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a little bit like weird, like hearing your own voice recorded, maybe like having your partner watch you in this space as you on content is probably like a weird uncanny valley situation.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like my wife says that to me all the time. She's like, you have you, and then there is Roger podcast, right? and I'm like, no, it's the same. And she's like,
It's just a little more like you're going over to a friend's house for people you don't know, kind of view. You want to be the best foot forward you.
Yeah. And don't get me, I mean, I feel like I'm authentic. I mean, I'm authentically who I am, right? Like,
you couldn't do this if you were inauthentic, because
Yeah.
people would notice and be
Yeah.
like, oh, something feels phony.
Yeah.
But there is an extra element of like, I don't sit in my room all day being like, hey, everyone, let's do the thing we're doing.
Well, I do. No, yeah, I agree. It's like
I mean,
being
I
on
do
stage.
a lot. I do a lot of that. I'm not going to lie. But I do just sit back and relax sometimes.
Jake or Zeb, do your significant others listen to this podcast at all?
No. And mine doesn't even watch me stream most of the time.
Yeah,
So yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
I think I talk about games too much anyway, so I think he just
Yeah.
he's just like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
They get the podcast. every
Yeah,
day
they
of
get
their
the
lives.
podcast 24/7, right?
Oh, that's funny.
We're
Yeah,
laughing so we don't cry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, there's your dating for dorks segment. I hopefully that helped. Can I tell a quick funny story? Actually, when I was in college, I'm going to anyway.
I like how you asked us. Yeah.
It's your
I was
show.
going to, yeah, it's my show.
Yeah.
That's true. When I was in college, I had a TV show. And on the TV, it was on campus.
But it's a real TV show.
It was,
Roger.
yeah, sure.
TV's Roger Reichert.
Yeah, it was called Me and Roger. Play on the
Who was
Roger
the
and
me?
Me. Oh, my college roommate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And and
I wanted it just to be you and like a double
that would
of
have been
you.
that would have been
I
that
thought
would have
that's
been
what it was.
amazing. That would have been amazing. But we would have guests on this podcast or on this TV show, and we didn't have a guest for the week, and we just brought our cameraman on, who actually didn't really need to be there. They had cameras in the station, but he just pretended to be the cameraman. So anyway, he was our guest, and we didn't know what to do. We made a bed. We were just like, well, let's just teach people how to make a bed, and we made a bed. And we brought a bed into the studio. I'm
gonna look this up.
Yeah. And the cameraman said that he was walking through campus, and this guy stopped him and said, "Hey, I just want to thank you for teaching me how to make a bed, because I brought a girl home from the bar and my bed was made." And I was like, well, that's really not what I was hoping would be the outcome of this, but
Why not?
hey,
You helped someone. That's amazing.
I guess.
Also, the bar is so low. Oh my god, you guys! He came home and his bed was made.
There's your dating advice. Make your bed.
Make your bed. Make your bed. There you go.
I was confused. I thought you were talking about like actually making a bed.
Yeah.
Oh, making a bed, crafting a bed.
Crafting a bed.
No, that would be amazing. But no, we just, put the sheets on.
Well, I was like, what is this person doing after the bar where they're going to craft a bed for their
Yeah, that was and it was fitted sheets too, so it wasn't even like we didn't teach you how
You had to figure out how the military corners go and everything.
No, we didn't do that. Yeah. So anyway, make your beds, folks.
Make your beds.
All right. How do I segment out of that? Let's talk about Valentine's Day. And I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about our favorite games to play with significant others. I guess that kind of translates into the last topic.
The bed situation.
Sure. So Jill, since you are a guest, I'll let you go first. Do you have a game that you suggest or that you play with your significant other?
Okay, I did, as per instructed. Have 3 ready.
Okay.
So I don't know if you
perfect.
want me to go all 3 at once.
Let's go 1 and then we'll go around. And I have 3 as well.
And I've picked games specifically because I have played them with my significant other and had a lot of fun, which does mean for anybody who's looking for kind of less complex games, maybe not the game to look for. But if you are in a relationship with a fellow video gamer, these might be good for you. So I'm going to start with Unshrouded.
Oh.
It's a very fun kind of open world crafting adventure. Oh, it looks like Jake's really really behind me on this
I've
one.
been talking about Enshrouded for like
So good.
couple months, yeah.
It's so good. And it is multiplayer, and very quickly you get cool things like the grappling hook and the glider, and there's something mysterious happening in the world. There's this toxic kind of fog that's overtaken everything, and you have to kind of figure out what's going on with that, and there's monsters to fight. But like, there's so many different aspects of this game you can kind of lean into. My partner really enjoys building, so the house construction is all for him, and he does a huge, like, I'll come back from like, hey, I've just fought this big mushroom thing, and he'll be like, I've built a 7-story palace. Like, what? Meanwhile, I have like a lean-to, like but yeah, it's a ton of fun, and there's lots to explore. They're currently in early access, set to release in 2026 officially, but lots of updates and lots of cool new things get piled on every time. So now would be a good time to jump in and check it out.
Nice.
I saw they added like overgrowth.
Yes,
Like you can,
and people are like putting like ivy on the outside of their houses.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's too good. That's too good. You know, I'm gonna put that everywhere.
I know, yeah, because that's what I was doing for everything, anyways. Like for the grass and stuff, it's just so well done. Like how you can just build things, and it just looks so natural, you know. So.
And unlike, say, like a Valheim, it's a lot more intuitive to use, and everything kind of connects and snaps really, really nicely. So like my lean-to is really well constructed.
Nice. Okay, maybe I have to check this game out, because now this is like, Jake, you've mentioned that. I think that it was like on your list of like your favorite games of last year, right? Wasn't that on your list?
Yeah, it was definitely like,
it's really
because it came out like very early last year, like February or something, and I put a lot of hours into it. So
nice. All right, well, Jake, I'll go to you next. Do you have a game that you play? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Roger.
I'll stop going.
So confrontation.
You asked me for this. So I would say that my partner's not the biggest gamer, so it's important to kind of find something that works well for him, than where it's not really like too actiony or anything like that. So during COVID, a really big thing that we kind of played together was Stardew Valley.
Nice.
That was a huge thing for us. We were playing it on the Switch, and it's got split screen and stuff like that, so it worked really well. It's also like online as well, so like if you're not actually in the same room together, you can still play it together. And a lot of the time he was tending crops and doing all that stuff while I was on level 200 of the Skull Cavern and stuff like that, you know. So it was a good balance to maintain the farm, where we all had our own jobs and stuff like that, and it was a really good time, especially during COVID and stuff like that. So
nice.
To keep with the Valentine's romance in the air sort of theme here, when you were playing, I assume when you're playing together this isn't a problem, but when you were playing alone, who did you choose to romance? This is important.
I think Elliot.
Yeah. Me and Jake are the same person. Perfect.
Because he's easy. You just give him coffee and then he's happy.
So and he's like, oh, I'm so sensitive and cool.
Yeah.
I have to ask my wife, because she played a lot of Stardew Valley. I don't know who she romanced. I'll have to ask her. But when we played Stardew Valley together, she was very particular. Like, crops go here, this goes here, this goes here, and like you go to my farm, and it's like a big mess. And
it's all willy nilly.
Yeah. It's like very, very, very different. So, That's very cool. That's a good pick. That was one that I forgot about because my wife and I played that as well. So good pick. Zeb, what about you?
Oh, my first game and the first one that popped in my head when asked about this was Astrobot. My wife and I just had such a blast just handing the controller back and forth between levels, and it just felt like playing a game with your best friend in like middle school. It just captured all that magic that gaming had back when you were a kid. It was so much fun just finding secrets together and stuff. But yeah, we're both like, we're excited that they added new levels or announced new levels today because we just want to go back and play more together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I have not played that because I don't have a PS5. So, but
yeah, I'm like the only one.
Did you? So when you guys play, is it like when someone dies, then the next person goes, or how did you guys kind of?
We would do like, well, not on death, but it would be like between levels. Okay, I just did this world, or you can do the next one, or it was, oh, I'm getting frustrated, I can't get it, and then you do it, and then like she would do a few attempts, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do it again, and so it's just perfect. Like instead of getting frustrated, banging my head against the wall, I hand it to her, watch her do it, and then it's almost like being able to watch someone else do it. You notice a lot of different things. I'm like, oh, okay, so next time I get the controls, I'll try that, and it worked perfect. And yeah, it was just a really cute game that we just couldn't stop smiling. So it was perfect to play together.
Nice. A little secret, that's actually how I figured out a lot of Love Eternal, Jill, when we were at PAX. I watched the person in front of me and I learned a lot of
That's the pro strat. You just pretend like, oh, I didn't know anything about this beforehand.
That's right. Yeah. When I walked in there, they're like, oh, wow, you're really fast at this one. I was watching a bunch of people play it before me and how they died.
It's
I'm like,
still hard,
okay, don't do
even
that.
if you know exactly what to do. That's a tough game.
Yeah, yeah. But when you watch people die over and over again, you're like, okay, don't do that. I think I can figure that out. That's a good pick. For me, my first game is a game that probably people would say, really, this is what you're gonna pick? But Overcooked is a game that my wife and I play a lot.
That's a good pick, Roger. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone bully you on that one.
Well, a lot of people say no because it causes people, so it can cause frustration.
It's stressful.
We discussed this on the podcast. We discussed this on the podcast. It's about communication, Roger.
Yeah, that's right.
It's about communication. You got to have
it. It's the monopoly of video games.
Yeah, yes. I will say, like, so it's so funny how my wife and I played games differently. She is a collector. So and she a completionist. So she will not let us leave a level until we get all the stars. And it will get down to like, okay, we need it done in 24 seconds. We did it in 25 seconds. We can do this, and this is what we're gonna do differently this time. Where I'm just like, we got 2 stars. Let's just move on. Let's go to the next level. Like, we'll come back to this. We can come back. No, we're gonna get this done. But it's pretty fun. I love playing Overcooked with her. And so funny story, we actually had a couple over. This is a couple years ago, and we're like, oh, you got to play this game. We really love it. And they were just like, why do you like this game?
Interesting. Roger's over here breaking up marriages and
yeah, they were like, this is not fun. After one round, my wife and I just looked at them and we're like, okay, I guess we're not playing that again. All right, moving on. Yeah, they just didn't get it. Like, we were like, my wife and I are like, no, come on, you got to get over to the kitchen. What are you doing? No, there's a fire over there. You got to put that fire out. And they're just like, why is this fun? We're like, okay, never mind. So, yeah. Jill, what's your next game on your list?
I think I'm going to jump to the one that is a little bit like playing with your best friend from middle school as the theme. And I'm going to go with Unraveled. It's a great game to play with another person. There's 1 and 2. Both are great. You can pick whichever one you like. It is essentially, again, sort of got a gaming, like, it would be helpful if both players can play to some extent. It's not like a hugely complex game, but it is one of those games that if one player is not as high level as the other one, maybe, you will go over and over and over again. But it is essentially, if you don't know what the game is, it is about a piece of yarn. If I remember correctly, his name is Yarny, who comes to life, and it's sort of a very sweet, in the background there's a story going on, and Yarny's trying to like find himself or something. I forget exactly why he's doing what he's doing, but he's going through, it's a little guy in a big world trying to get through and over things, and you use the yarn. You're connected with another player to, like, sometimes it helps you get over things and helps you, like, you can pull up your partner or whatever. Sometimes it makes it difficult because you have to, like, get over an obstacle. But it is a really fun and really sweet story and game just in and of itself, and it's a really fun thing to play with a partner.
Yeah, I've not played that one with my partner, but yeah, that's one that I should play because that does a
do it
a
this
cute game.
Do it this Valentine's Day, Roger.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, good pick, Jake. What's your next game?
I am also gonna go into the best friend kind of game, and that is Pokemon.
Okay.
So yeah, I think when me and my partner started dating, a big thing was Pokemon X and Y.
Okay.
And for the 3DS, so we both got that, and it was kind of just like a cool way to get to know somebody, if that makes sense. You're learning about what their favorite Pokemon is and stuff like that, which is, I think, is an important thing in a relationship. So
what's a deal breaker Pokemon?
Yeah. What is a deal breaker Pokemon? That is good. That is a good question.
That is a really good question.
You have to worry if someone picks like Bulbasaur as their starter. Like, it's not 100% a no, but like, you've got Charmander right there, and
True.
Squirtle if you're trying to be contrarian.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, I don't know. The funny thing about Pokemon is every Pokemon is someone's favorite. I've noticed. Any sort of Pokemon you think of, someone loves that Pokemon and loves it dearly.
Yeah.
Even the keychain.
Absolutely.
I came around, I want to say 100% on the garbage Pokemon, because I was like,
yeah.
When I first saw it, I'm like, nah, this is too far. But then I saw it, I'm like, oh, he's just a little garbage, you know? Like, he knows from the outset that he is a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And I just want to love him, you know?
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone loves one Pokemon, even if it's the weirdest garbage looking Pokemon.
Little garbage Pokemon. Look at his little garbage face.
Yeah.
Every week now, I'm gonna bring a stack of Pokemon cards, and I'm gonna hold up a card and be like, "Tell me who loves this one." And you gotta tell me, because I'm guarantee you I'm gonna find at least one Pokemon that you're gonna be like, nobody likes that Pokemon.
Yeah, we'll find one absolutely hated Pokemon.
Yeah,
there has to be one. I'm trying really hard to think of one.
I think they did do a like they listed all the Pokemon and people voted for what was their favorite and what was the worst. And I do know that there was like a list of the worst, but people still voted for it. So it's
fair.
You know,
that's fair.
it's
fair.
Yeah.
So yeah. Another thing about Pokemon though is there's always two types. There's always red and blue, X and Y, and so it was always kind of cool because we would always, whenever the new Pokemon came out, we'd always get the opposite version.
Oh.
And then there's always different Pokemon that don't show up in certain ones.
Yeah.
And so you're always trading for you can trade with your significant other for those and stuff like that. So
yeah. I like that. That's a good pick.
I'm now going down the rabbit hole. You pushed me.
Oh boy.
To look,
boy.
I'm looking at like USA Today's 25 worst Pokemon of all time, and I'm trying to see. I feel like some of these are maligned, but I'm trying to scroll down to the bottom to see what number 1 is. And I'm very much a 151, like original generation. I don't know who half these things are. I'm like, I didn't know that was a Pokemon. The ice cream cone one is
it's the ice cream cone one was the one that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Here we go. I'm at 3. I'm at 2. Oh no.
Is it like Bidoof or something?
It's Paris. Is apparently their number 1 disliked Pokemon of all time.
See,
it looks like a little crab with a couple mushrooms on it.
Oh, that one.
It's a 151.
That's sad. I don't like this.
One.
I'm gonna keep going until I find one that
fake news. That's fake news.
Yeah, absolutely. This is trash. USA Today is a trash website. You heard it here first.
Hey, speaking of which, just quickly, if you're in the Stevens Point area, Stevens Point has the 44th best restaurant in the nation, according to USA Today. USA Today. I'll try saying that 10 times fast. Yeah. I haven't eaten there yet, but guess where I'm going this weekend?
Do they serve Pokemon?
Yes, they do.
Is there a restaurant that serves Pokemon? There has to be, right?
Well, I'm sure
I know
in
there
Japan,
are some
there's gotta be.
I mean,
Japanese
Nintendo
cafe,
Land has
but I
to
don't know
have
if they
one,
actually
right?
serve the Pokemon
Yeah.
themselves.
Also, in Pokemon, do they eat Pokemon?
Yeah.
They've confirmed
like
that. I'm pretty
you
sure.
have all those like gumbos or whatever you can make in the one.
Cows.
It was stew or curries or whatever it was, and you put like little chunks of meat in there that seem questionable. So like I'm thinking that's what we're eating.
Yeah, just a bunch of Taurus or something like that. Like the cow. He's the bull dude. Or,
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah, it seems legit.
What Pokemon taste the best? That's another question.
These are all the ice cream cone one. I would assume.
There has to be one that looks like a dumpling, right? There's definitely one that looks like a dumpling.
Probably, yeah.
I'm googling dumpling Pokemon. So
I gotta go with Taurus because steak always tastes good.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, Zeb, what is your next pick here?
Anyways,
next one is another single player game, but had enough content for both of us to do, and that was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh,
there was
okay.
a million mini games in that game that, like, so my partner doesn't enjoy combat, but she does love to do all the little mini games that Final Fantasy can come up with, and I mean, and the story is also good. That it's just like a movie when you watch it, really. So it was just a fun experience, and we cleared the whole map. Like, we just, a very rare thing for me to do in an open world game, but we just, any little mark we made sure to go to and get it off. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. Fun fact, my girlfriend in college and I almost got kicked out of college because we played Final Fantasy VII, because that game came out when we were in college, and we just would skip classes to play that.
Okay,
Amazing.
I was going to say, there has to be more than just playing the game. Unless you're in one of those colleges that was like, no music, no entertainment.
No games. No, we skipped a lot of classes. I shouldn't say when we got kicked out. It was just that we kind of probably got in trouble. It's like, oh, we are probably missing too many classes. We should go to many classes. But we did. We beat that game in college, and it was awesome.
You've picked one of the only careers in which that is a positive, rather than like some kind of, oh no, red flag.
Exactly. That's true. But when you're a history major, it is kind of not well. It's kind of frowned
You still
upon.
made it. It's fine. It's
I
fine.
did. It was fine. Yeah, it was fine.
Turned out
it was a
okay.
good pick. Yeah. It worked out well. For me, my next pick is actually kind of along the lines of the Unraveled. It's a game called Heave Ho. I don't know if
Oh
anybody's played that game.
yes.
So this is a game where you can play, I think, up to 4 players, I think, but it was just my wife and I that would play this game. And the idea is that you have a character, and they're kind of silly looking characters, and you use like your hands, like, but they're like kind of like stringy hands, right, and sticky hands, and you could throw your partner, and you have to try to get to, I think, like a certain area, and there's like blades and there's spikes and stuff like that, and you're trying to avoid. And I can't tell you how many times we were just laughing so hard at just how stupid and just silly, because it's a silly game. It's a silly game. But man, we laughed so hard at that game, and that's a really fun game. So Heave Ho, if you have not played that game, and it's like cheap, it's like a super cheap game too. So
It's like less than $5. It's an excellent choice.
Yeah, and we played it on the Switch, but I'm sure you can get it, on Steam and elsewhere too. So, but yeah. Jill, what's your final game in this category here?
Final game in the category is going to go to Myth Force. Not only is it
Force,
it's so great.
Yes.
It is the best theme song of literally any game ever. And you can fight me on this.
Yeah,
like,
I know, I agree.
When it came out, I think I've probably told this story even on this podcast, but like the first time I played it was at GDC before it had even been unveiled. So I had to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
But the stupid theme song was so catchy that I would be humming it and like singing the words, and I had to actually change the words to like pancakes and french fries or something so that I wouldn't give the game's title away.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It is up to 4 players, multiplayer, sort of dungeon crawl. It's sort of your basic D&D type game. One of you is like a ranger, one of you is like the warrior, one of you has magic, the other one is like a sneak thief kind of thing. But you're essentially, you just go to a room and you defeat everything in the room, and you go to the next room, and there's this like mini boss and new worlds. The art style is so fantastically like Saturday morning cartoons brought to life in a 3D world. And so you can kind of just lose time just looking at how beautiful the game is. But it's pretty intense. So again, probably not for like people who are not that interested in this kind of game. It's a lot of combat. It's real action, real-time action game. And it's very much like, you got someone on your left, I'll shoot him, you do the thing, oh my gosh, look over there to your right, use your superpower now.
Yeah
It is a lot of fun.
That game is really fun. I know it had like a little bit of a rough start, especially on the Switch. Didn't play very well on the Switch.
The Switch, I would imagine, would have been a very difficult platform for it. But it's got a lot of really cool updates and a lot of like reasons to go back in and to continue to play, and kind of internal resources that you come back and you upgrade your character, and a lot of lore. They've added a lot of lore.
Yeah, and I love the fact, like you said, it's like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's so good. It's such a good game.
It's got like 80s Saturday morning cartoon vibes, like
for sure.
She-Ra and He-Man and all that jazz.
Yes. Jake and Zeb, have you played this game at all? Or no?
No. I just looked it up though. And
everybody go check it out right now.
I really like the art style.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a good game. Good pick. Jake, what's your game? Last game on your list?
So my last one is Life is Strange. Considering my partner isn't a big gamer, like I said, it's kind of cool to just watch a game in a way. I think sometimes, and I think those games are so well written and just so well done. You get some decisions that you have to make in those games, and you kind of work those out together and stuff like that. So I thought that was a really good one we played as well.
Yeah, that is a good pick. It's actually one my wife and I should play that game together. We're playing just when you were saying that this is not on my list, but just reminded me of we were playing Her Story.
Yes.
And
Immortality also in that
oh,
vein.
see, yeah, that's one we had to play.
That's a great game to play together because it's not a lot of, or really any gameplay.
Yeah. What was it? Was Her Story? What was the second one?
Telling Lies.
Telling Lies. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those are the two that we were playing. I don't know if you two ever played those games at all, but it's like you're just watching videos.
Don't ask anyone about what it's about. Just go play.
Just go play it. And then but we had notebooks and we were like writing stuff down and we were trying to figure stuff out. It was really
that's
fun.
cool. Yeah. I think there's a bunch of games like that are coming out too, like Until Dawn was a really good one as well that we did. Like any sort of like
you played
game.
Until Dawn? You don't like horror games though.
I love horror games now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Recently,
so
that was not true, but now.
Yeah, because in my review, I did mention that I wasn't into horror games.
Roger, there's still time for you.
Yeah. I started playing Resident Evil, and those were the games that got me into more horror games.
There you go, Jake.
Play Resident Evil.
I did.
Roger.
I did. Hey, whoa, hold on. I did. Okay, back off, everybody.
Instead of going to college, that's what I was doing. Jeez.
Jeez, I dropped out of college to play Resident Evil. Back off, everybody. Actually, I did play the original Resident Evil when it first came out with the lights off, with said girlfriend that was Final Fantasy VII. And I almost pooped my pants. And with the first zombie, yeah, it is scary, especially with the lights off.
Did you ever finish? Side note: Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
No, I need to go back and play it. Actually, this one game that was going to be on my list. That's one game I want to play with my wife. Actually,
it's a really good, even though it's a single player game. That's a really good player together play game. That's a notebook game. Everybody, get your notebooks out.
Yeah. Good pick. Zeb, what's your final game on your list?
So I had a couple coming into this trying to figure out what my third one was going to be, and finally decided it's best game that was in 2020 when everyone was in lockdown. We both had a Switch, so we would visit each other's islands every morning during coffee.
Get those turnip prices.
And Animal Crossing New Horizons was such a good game, even for the time and everything. It was just, hey, let's just go visit each other, trade. And she was like 2 months ahead of me before she finally convinced me to get it. And so I'd be like, hey, can I get some money? I need an expansion. She's like, okay, come visit. It was just such a peaceful, enjoyable time, just hanging out with each other. And I know gameplay was very limited, so it was just a chill vibe, and that's definitely something we needed back then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good pick. We also played a lot of Animal Crossing. That's like one of the reasons actually I got my wife her Switch was so we could play Animal Crossing. So
that game came out like the perfect time. Yeah.
It was exactly what we needed at that exact moment. And I think until that point, Animal Crossing had been such a B to C tier franchise.
It was not a Nintendo flagship.
But now everyone's like, Switch 2 coming out, and maybe the launch title is going to be. Whereas look before that entry in the franchise, and no one would have guessed that at all. So they did a good job on that one.
Yeah. My final game is a series, and this is one of those series that my wife and I would go to. Do you guys have Family Video? I mean, I think that's a chain, right? A Family Video?
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
Okay. Or like a video rental store.
Yeah, video rental store, right?
Those don't exist anymore.
I know. But before we had kids, we were first married. We would go to Family Video. We would rent a GameCube and we would rent Mario Party. and we would play Mario Party all weekend, and it was
love it.
so much fun. And even to this day, like, we still love Mario Party. So Mario Party would be on any of the Mario Parties. I like all the Mario Parties. I haven't played like some of the newer
Jamboree,
ones.
I think,
but
is one of the most recent ones.
yeah,
and I
didn't
think
play
that got a
one.
lot of critical, like, good reception.
Yeah.
So
Everyone
one-
said it was a return to the original format.
Yeah, because I think the ones before that, like the one right before that, or the one like Superstars or something like that, didn't get good reviews, I think.
Because it came with, like, each character had their own unique die that like could break the game. Like Bowser had like one that had 3 10s on it or something. So if you're Bowser, you just were gonna run across the map no matter what, pretty much. It was as fun as the OG Mario parties.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a lot of fun playing Mario Party, and like, you know, at the end where you have the secret stars. Oh, it was so much fun. It was such a good time. But
that's
yeah,
a relationship tester right there.
Yeah.
Like, I personally
that and
love it.
Overcooked.
I love
actually.
the chaos, but like, having been the player who's like, I won every like mini game and I got all the stars by the rules, to have someone pass you by just because they like went the fewest spaces. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. That one, and I was almost gonna pick this other one, and I was like, Mario Kart is the other one. Mario Kart Wii is the first game that my wife and I played together, Mario Kart wise, and it was the first time I ever heard my wife swear. I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was fun. So there's plenty of games that you can all play with your significant other this weekend. Take some time, play some games with your significant other, because why not?
Or if you don't currently have one, you can take our advice from
That's
earlier
true.
and then bring them over to play
That's
these
right.
games.
As long as you make your bed, you'll be fine.
Yeah, make that first. Pick good crafting materials.
That's right. That's right. Well, Jill, the other reason I wanted to have you on the show
Yes.
is because
We
I feel
come
like
to
this,
it.
This is the pinnacle.
The truth is being unveiled.
The truth is being unveiled. This is a big year for indie games. I didn't realize it was a big year. Like, I felt like last year was a big year, but
It's freaking Roger. I don't know what to do with my life sometimes, because it's like every year is like, this year is really big. So it's like every year I feel like it's gonna get less wild, but no, we've started off, and this is another wild year, and I'm looking March, and in March is I don't know what I'm gonna do, and then May is starting to get things that are being like unveiled.
It's crazy. And those are just the games we know.
It's a good time.
There's like, could we get Silk Song? Could we get Mina?
We don't say that name, Roger.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
We don't say that.
We don't say that.
You just delayed it by another month.
You jinxed it.
I did. But I mean, there's like a lot of like really good games that have already released, and a lot of good games that are coming out. So let's just start with the games that released. What are some of your top games that have released so far, indie games that have released so far this year?
So far this year, it's like every single week there is a new must-play game. So go through and check so many things out. I try to cover as many of them as I can.
Where can they? On the
indieinformer.com.
Yeah, there
Roger,
you go.
You can
There
go
it
check
is.
those out.
That's right.
I try so hard to get the word out. But because, there are so many popping up, a lot of them do get overshadowed. But the major ones that I think are the shining examples of indie games so far, and I want to be clear, it's only midway through February, and we've already got what I think is probably going to win Best Indie Game of the Year.
Ooh.
So I'll start out. Ender Magnolia.
Yeah.
Bloom in the Mist.
That's a great
That
game.
is a fantastically beautiful, really well constructed Metroidvania with an interesting story, a lot of really cool mechanics, a lot of really smart quality of life things with the map and how you know where to go and how you can kind of get back and forth really easily with things. I love it. You can go watch me play that. I do amazingly. Don't even worry about the couple of times that I die to a boss.
It's hard. It's hard, especially like the third boss, the one with the wings, I thought was really tough. I thought that boss was really tough.
You know, they start you off slow and you think, okay, I've got this. I've
Yeah.
got this. And then,
Yeah.
nope, you don't.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
But absolutely fantastic start for Metroidvanias there. And then you jump to, I'm going to look over my list here. More recently, I don't know, did this come out last week? I want to say it was either last week or the week before. Keep Driving. I had my eye on this for a while. I wasn't expecting it to be as cool as it was when it came out. And the basic idea is it captures. I've just realized, like, do you want me to continue on with my whole list? Okay.
Yeah.
It captures the feeling and nostalgia of a time which perhaps never existed, which I sort of love as a like meta concept. But the feeling and nostalgia of when you're kind of in your teenage years, you have independence, but you're still kind of safeguarded from the world, and you have your first set of wheels, and the open road is calling to you, and it's just anything you want to do, and you just go out there and you have those wild nights that you talk about when you get older. You're like, oh, I remember the time I was off on the freeway and I picked up a hitchhiker who turned out to be, you know, a punk rocker who I had to drop off at whatever major festival they were going to. We had this, you wouldn't believe the things we got into. Like, so it really captures all of that. It's kind of a roguelike. They don't really pitch it in this way, which I find interesting. But you start off at your home, you are given a map, and the first time you play, you're given an objective: get to the festival. And from where you are on the map, it's like as far away from you as possible. But as you kind of bounce around from like town to town and road stop and truck stops and that sort of thing, you find people who change your objectives. They're like, we've got, I haven't seen my sister in 3 years, and I something really important is happening in her life that I really need to be there. So you're like, okay, that's what we're doing now. So we're like going in 100% the wrong direction now. At one point I got like a letter that was like, your aunt is dying and you're set to inherit a bunch of whatever she has.
Well,
but in order to get it, you have to
go get that. Yeah. No
yeah,
kidding.
you gotta go do that instead of going to your thing. You have when you stop, the game is set, the gameplay of the game is kind of 2 phases. On the road, so you are in your car, and various road events will happen. Sometimes they're just like introspective thoughts on life and how you feel about the world, and that depending on what you pick, you can get like a buff. Let's say you just start thinking about the woods and the forest and how lovely they are. And so if you go, yeah, the woods are great, then anytime you're driving through a wooded area, you now are happier. You know. Or there can be things like you get stuck behind a herd of sheep that won't move, and it turns into a road event, which very clever sort of turn-based combat sort of situation. Yeah, you're not fighting sheep. Don't worry about it. No sheep were harmed. But they manifest various kind of parts of a car. So like your gas or your durability or even you as a person. So like your energy levels into little icons, and you have to use skills that use those various things in order to get through the situation. So like if you're using your gas to get around the sheep, you might actually use the gas in your car, you know, so that will drop down. If you do badly, you might lose more. You might be able to get past it, but then if you run out of gas in the middle of the road, like you literally can't go anywhere, so you might have to like give up all your money in order to get towed to the last place you went to. Or worst case scenario here, Roger, you have to call your parents.
Oh, I've done that.
You have to call your parents for help.
I've done that.
And they ask you in the beginning, like, how close is your relationship with your parents? And I was role playing, as one should. as a sort of like rebellious teenager who like didn't want mom and dad. So like my chance of success for calling for help was like 40% when I got really stuck. So you know. So that's the road phase. And then you have the kind of stop phase when you get from a segment of road to a stop. It could be a city, it could be a gas station, it could be a restaurant, like sort of anything really. You can buy things. Like, let's say someone in your chat wants you to buy alcohol.
No.
Yeah.
I think
Who wants that to
somebody
happen?
chose to drink the alcohol.
No, I think somebody decided. I'm very like I let my chat pick things, and someone who might be in this podcast said, "Jill, you got to drink and drive." And I'm
So
like, okay.
well, hold on. I just have to ask a question. If we were driving in a real car and I was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Jill, buy some beer, and I want you to drink it and drive," and you got caught drinking and driving, it wouldn't be on me. It would be on you.
I would definitely get it on you. Like I would be like, "Officer, you don't understand."
I love
so
how,
yeah, you
by
can
the way,
buy.
I love how I like the next day, I don't remember where we were, but we were like, I think it was like in a Discord chat, and I said, "Oh yeah, Jill was drinking and driving in this game," and you were like, "How dare you?"
That's not how it went. So you can buy items like food or drink or whatever to like help give you buffs or to take away debuffs. And like maybe you're tired, maybe you're dirty, so you buy soap to wash yourself. Or you can
As
buy
one
things
does.
as one does. You can buy things for your car. You can get different types of tires. You can change the color of your car or whatever. So like it's kind of an inventory system like Resident Evil. You have to plan how much inventory you can put for things, but you want to be able to like plan for the worst to happen. So there's a little bit of that. And then of course you have to spend your money on getting more gas, fixing your car up from the various dents you've put in it for various reasons. Or there are special exploration things where you can get out and like walk in a trail, like out in nature, and bad things can happen to you in nature, Roger. Or
As
you can
one
pick up
does.
items.
Yeah.
So like, it's just a lot of really cool. It's never the same road twice. If you can kind of follow me there, like even though the game is basically go drive on the road, stop, drive on the road, stop, you're literally everything is different. You're never running into the same road events, or if you are, you're with totally different people who change up how you can approach that. Your objectives are totally different. Your resources are different. Like it feels different every single time you get in the car to go on the road. And every time you start a whole new run, like now you've unlocked a different type of car. Now you've got a whole new objective to go after. It's a lot of really cool systems put together, and I feel like not enough people are talking about this game either, so I really want to like evangelize it as much as possible. So that is Keep Driving, which you should do.
Yeah. Seb, you played that game. You reviewed that game.
I did.
Actually.
I did. I reviewed it. I played it last week, and I have a road trip actually tomorrow. And as I was playing it, I was thinking, this is it. This is what I feel and what I will be feeling starting tomorrow on the road. It's just that. Now, granted, I hope I don't break down as much as I did in the game, but just the mix of the music and everything, it captured that sense of cross-country road trip.
Nice. Fun.
Yeah.
Is that your game of the year so far, Jill? Or
it is not. Are you ready to hear what the game of the year is so far?
Is this next game the game of the year?
I think I might know.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Prepare yourselves. Citizen Sleeper 2.
Oh.
It is 100% Citizen Sleeper 2. If Citizen Sleeper 2 wins Best Indie of the Year or even Game of the Year, I would not be upset. It is so ridiculously like profound and touching, and it's about human connection in a time where everything seems to be against you and the world is terrible and everybody like maybe not to take too much from, real life, but like everything seems to be about getting what you can get, and who cares about the other people. There's just trying to break through the horrific atrocities of money and greed, and at every point everything's against you, but somehow the human connections still happen. They're still there. They're what keep you going. So even if you don't get through a scenario 100%, like, you still feel like you accomplished something because you've managed to help people along the way. And it's just, I've never had a game that was quite so good at making you feel like connected to humanity in such a bleak world. You are constantly, you don't have enough resources. You are constantly running up your stress and damaging everything you need in order to get by, and you're constantly being hunted, so the clock is always ticking. You have to move from place to place so you don't get found. And I cannot stress to you how beautifully written this game is. It, like the first game and this game also, like both of them have this sort of amazing writing style that's just, it's not like a 3D game. You don't control your character. It is very much it's a tabletop RPG essentially, but in the virtual space. So you have very minimalistic visuals, but I can see everything that happened when I think back at the game. Like, I have literal memories of these things happening, even though if I'm going back and I'm watching someone else play, I'm like, oh, it's just like a single shot on the screen. But because the dialogue and the description text is so good, and it dives into what everybody's feeling and what you're noticing about the world and all these little details in the landscape, that you are like building memories of this particular moment in time. And you play via dice, which is a really cool system. You roll at the beginning of every day, and what you have you can apply to different things. So it's not like in, say, D&D, when you come up against an obstacle, you roll your dice there and hope for the best. You've already rolled your dice, so you can choose to win. Like, if you have
put it wherever you feel like
yes,
I need this, so
I
put
need
my
this.
6
I'm
here.
gonna exactly.
Okay.
And you try really hard to like, hopefully I don't get a 1, but if I do have a 1, I'll put it in the thing that's like, I guess I don't eat today if I don't, instead of like someone stabs you in the face.
Yeah.
Number 2, the sequel very specifically does something the first one doesn't, in that it promotes much more movement and traversal through space. In a lot of different ways, just because you're jumping from place to place trying to avoid being hunted down by the main baddie. But also each place has its own set of like missions, so you can go out into the nearby orbit of space and try to accomplish some sort of goal. Maybe you are hacking down a plane for its jarble larble like thing, I don't like all the, you're trying to get like a piece of technology. Maybe you're trying to like find a person and rescue them. And it has a very interesting mechanic where like you can get stressed. If you get stressed enough, you can start breaking your dice, which means that, if you roll 5 dice in the beginning, if you break a couple of dice, now you only have 3 dice, so you better hope that you rolled anything useful. And you also have a series of like get the gang together mechanics. So you're going out and you're recruiting your team and you're getting close with them, and you're like, I gotta take this guy because he's really close, we're friends, but I gotta take this person because they have the skill that I don't have. And you can actually use their skills as well, which is a new thing. So a lot of people have asked me if you can play 2 just right off the bat, and I kind of encourage that. Because like everybody wants to be on in on the exciting thing that's happening right now.
Yeah.
But the story itself is not a direct sequel, but it is in the same space. So if you're interested in the game and you want to jump in, nothing is stopping you. The only reason I would say play Citizen Sleeper 1 first is because Citizen Sleeper is a more streamlined, pared down mechanically game. So if you're worried about figuring out the mechanics, maybe go with 1. But man, 2 is it's excellent. It's so hard because I don't want to ruin anything, but there's the moment at the end literally put me in place of the protagonist. And I'm like, am I brave enough to do the thing that the protagonist is doing in real life? Even though for me, of course, the stakes are much lower, but it's still very much like, I don't think I could do this. And then you think back, like, you always sort of think of your video games like, oh, why isn't this person braver? Why isn't this person doing like the thing, whatever. And then, but when you're asked to do even a slight hint of the same thing, then you're like, I don't know if I feel really scared about doing that. So maybe I won't. But that puts you so much in that person's shoes and just makes you connect to that story so much more. Which is just absolutely fantastic. Great game design. This is a game that should win awards at the end of the year.
A couple questions.
Yep, I'm ready.
So I think it was Wesley that was talking about this game on All Things Nintendo with Brian Shea.
That makes sense.
And I think Wesley was saying that the developer was like, now I'm going to make a tabletop game of this. If I remember.
I think there is a tabletop game. I think there was one in the works for Citizen Sleeper originally. I think that's been in the works.
Okay.
I feel like there's been like hurdles to it.
Okay.
But it would 100%. It's a tabletop game, so there's no reason why it wouldn't translate.
Yeah. My second question is, do you think the fact that it released early on in the year and that I don't want to say it's very niche, but it's kind of niche, right? Like, I feel like the people that really like this game are like the types that like role-playing games, that like tabletop games, that don't mind reading a lot, because there's quite a bit of reading, right?
It's very text heavy. Do
you think that hurts it though overall? Like, because I've heard great things too, but I also am kind of an echo chamber, because like I talk to you a lot, I talk to Jacob a lot, I talk to like a lot of the same people that play the same games that we all play, and they're like, this is fantastic. But I'm just worried that if you go outside our sphere of like people that we like talk to, like, is the general public as excited about this game? I guess
I think your question is multifold, which I appreciate. There is always danger with a game releasing in the beginning of the year, being forgotten by the end of the year. I think Citizen Sleeper 2 made enough of a splash that we will remember it when time comes, because especially in the indie space, we're going to look back and we're going to remember our indies. As far as whether or not it's going to hit, but like Balatro, which was everywhere and did actually make it to Game of the Year, like,
and that released early in the year too, didn't it?
It was in February, if I remember correctly.
I think you and I were the only ones that were really reviewing.
We were the first ones.
Yeah, we were.
It was amazing. But some of that too might be because it dropped and like started as a tiny snowball and started building and building as people sort of picked it up. So even though it dropped in February, I want to say, it didn't gain its massive critical popularity until later, so that might have helped keep it relevant in people's minds. As far as like the echo chamber situation is concerned, like, that's just the indie space. Like, it's so hard to remember how mainstream thinking kind of works, right? Because there are games that I'm 100% sure everybody knows about, you know.
Yeah.
But then I get to talking about them and people are like, huh? Like Citizen Sleeper 2, great example, because the creator on social media has been like, I'm just gonna repost this until people stop saying, oh, there's a sequel to Citizen Sleeper. And I'm sitting here like, how do you not know that there's a sequel? That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure, you know, is coming up a lot. But I
It
think
is on
there is a
Game
lot of
Pass,
it's on Game
so that does
Pass.
help.
It helps a lot. I think there's hope that it is reaching a broader audience because I've seen non-indie specific content creators playing it and praising it. So I think that will help also kind of spread the word. But yeah, no, it is a constant battle if you're an indie like centric outlet or any sort of content creator, because it is very much, even the large things that you think people know about are completely off people's radar. And I'm like, if you think that a year was slow and that nothing came out, it's because you're not playing the indies.
Yeah.
Because there were some wild things. Even it's only halfway through February,
Yeah.
and there are some
Yes.
wild games in this
Yes.
list, which I bet you haven't played. I'm not looking
Yeah.
at you, Roger. I'm looking at everybody out there.
No, I know. No. It is interesting to me because I did see somebody post this. Like, I don't spend a lot of time in the internets, and I certainly don't spend a lot of time in Reddit because it's just not something that I do. But I was looking for like indie games or people's thoughts on certain indie games, and there was a Reddit thread that was like, boy, there's like nothing coming out in 2025, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. But I think that's true, that if you're not in the indie scene, if you're not as like into the indie games, like, you might think that there's not a lot of games coming out, and you probably wouldn't be wrong if that's if you didn't pay attention to the indie scene. So
the flip side of that, the positive, the silver lining, is that I can bet you anything that a response to that thread would have been, you're not playing the indie games.
Yeah, then there was a lot of people that said
whereas like years ago that would not have been the case.
Yeah.
So there is getting to be a larger group of like mainstream indie players. Because I can remember even, I don't know, like 5 years ago or so, like it was pretty common to run into people even in the industry who were kind of like, you know, indie games and real games as two different categories of game. I'm like, oh no, okay, we're gonna have to have that conversation. But
yeah, I feel like, and I mean, we could go down this rabbit hole, but I do feel like Celeste probably changed the tides with that, with it being nominated as Game of the Year that when it came out that year. Probably Hollow Knight probably helped a lot too. That
Disco Elysium totally sweeping everything that it was in was probably also very helpful. It would be interesting to go back and see what were the major. Stardew Valley has to be in that discussion somewhere. Of just
Balatro
like these games
now. I mean,
where suddenly
that's
everybody's
recent,
playing.
Right?
Yeah. But even talking about like Balatro, like there are people who reach out to me because they know I play video games, who are like, what should I play? What haven't I played yet? And I would be like, well, Balatro, of course. And I'm like, what the heck is that? You know? And to me, it's such, I want to immediately be like, what are you talking about? These are not like Luddites. These are people who are in gaming, like not in game, not in the like media space, but like who are into the hobby. So yeah, it's always going to be that constant battle, but I think more and more people are jumping on board and getting and especially, I mean, I don't know how far you want to get into this, but like the economic state of games right now is really pushing for an indie takeover because it just takes so much time and money, and you can't like put all that time and money into a game that's going to be not a huge hit if you're like a AAA. So you step into the indie space and all of a sudden you've got all these really cool games with all these wild concepts and out there genres, and it's a world you've never really experienced before, and they're quick experiences. You don't have to put hundreds and hundreds of hours into them just to enjoy them. And it's exactly, it is easier to make because they're not millions and trillions of dollars, but still manifest an energy and touch on something that maybe you've never experienced before in a video game, which is why indies are the best.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of the time it seems like AAA games or even quadruple games or quadruple A games now are.
Is that the worst Pokemon? The quadruple A games?
Quadruple A games? Yeah, probably. But the fact that it seems like a lot of the times it's just they're adding a 2 or 3 to the next game that made a lot of money, and they're just having to get it out. And when you get into the indie scene, it seems like games, these are passion projects for a lot of people. They put their heart and soul into these games. Sometimes it's one person that's making it, and so I feel like I don't want to say that there's no soul in these AAA games or anything like that, but you can feel that these are personal games for people,
Right.
Yeah.
For a lot of indies, they made that game because that's the game they wanted to make.
Yeah.
And that comes across.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it for money. Look at Lethal Company.
Let's be
This one
clear though,
dude
we
made
want to
it.
make sure they make money.
Yes.
Well,
we wanna give them
obviously.
money.
Yes.
Buy the games. But they didn't make them for the explicit reason of getting rich.
Right.
You can
No one's going
tell,
in. It's the same with games journalism, right? No one's going in I'm going to become rich.
What? Wait, what?
I'm waiting on that check, Roger.
Roger's I didn't skip all my classes for this.
Yeah, what the heck? What? I didn't play Pong since I was a kid for this. Come on. But I do think that's interesting though that Jake, that you said that, because I think of games like Concord, right, which was a passion for them. They worked on it for 7 years and it was backed by Sony, right? And then they just within 2 weeks pulled the plug and be like, you're done.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big difference also between indie games and AAA games or big games that are backed by big companies, because it reminds me a lot of the sports industry in a way. If you're not delivering right away, then you're done. Right. And I heard Coach K, I can't pronounce his last name, but he was the head coach for Duke. And he said this, he's like, if I started off coaching, and this just reminds me of the industry a little bit. If I lost as many games now as I did then, I wouldn't be a coach, but it took me a long time to become that winning coach. Right. And it took some losses to get to there. And then I think about that, and I think about how many lessons are learned through loss versus even, the wins. And sometimes they're not even allowed to have those because of the fact that, well, you're not getting the numbers we want. You're not delivering the numbers we want.
That's so important too. The numbers we want.
Yes.
In a lot of cases, these are not games that are selling poorly by a lot of any reasonable standard.
Yeah.
There are so many indie games that are we're doing it, we're great, and it's 25,000 games sold, and the AAA space would absolutely lose themselves over that.
Exactly, right? It's crazy. It's crazy to think. I just saw a game. I won't mention the game, but they mentioned their wish lists, and for an indie game, a lot of games, a lot of numbers, big numbers for a wish list for an indie game, but not for a AAA game. Those would be small numbers, but they're really proud of look at, we have this many numbers, and I'm that's cool for indie game, and they're really proud of that, and they should be really proud of that. I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I'm just saying that if it was a big corporation, they'd be this isn't worth it.
It isn't.
We're pulling a plug.
Right. It's not making us 100+
Yeah.
percent revenue or whatever.
Yeah. And games are hard. Like they're hard to make. It's something that you're not just going into it being like, I'm just gonna make a game and be done it in a week and make millions of dollars and stuff like that.
I think it's funny because there are people I think that think
do
that's
that.
what. Yes.
And they don't.
Probably,
They don't last very long.
Yeah.
I think also too, it's important as gamers, as people who enjoy this space as a hobby. Like, how many games can you think of that were objectively 7? Maybe a 5, but you personally absolutely love.
Yeah.
And those are disappearing.
Yeah.
That
True.
makes me just terribly sad to see.
Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, like I said, we could go down this rabbit hole for like a really long time. But I do want
this rabbit hole is going down.
Yeah. But I do want to say, like, if you want to listen to a good episode where you and the Indie Council talk about copycats and like copycat games and like what that means for an indie developer when somebody's taking like basically the same assets and building them in AI and building a copycat game off of that, go listen to Indie Council. They have a really great episode on that, and it kind of touches on a lot of the things that we just talked about here, but in an in-depth conversation about copycats and like what does it mean for the industry. So there's a lot of really great topics out there to listen to.
You
in
can
this
go down
industry.
these kinds of rabbit holes all the time.
I do want to touch though on games that are coming out this year. What are some games that we should be looking forward to? Because there are, like I said, this is a big year for indie games. So.
I'm going to look at my my own website here just to if I could actually find it, that'd be nice. Because I have a couple of lists that are 2025 games like anticipated and that are like we know are coming out, and some that I really just hope are coming out. So I'm gonna do, I think, ones that we kind of know are coming out. So we have coming up really soon, March, wild year. Wild month of the year. And I just put up a preview, and I know a lot of people did as well, of a game called Wanderstop.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So this is a game, it has a fantastic lineage of people who are working on it. It's kind of a conglomerate of big named indie creators. One of them being the creator behind like the Stanley Parable. So this game is going to be not exactly what you think, but the setup is there is a warrior, her name is Alta, and her whole life's goal, the only thing that she wants to obtain in her life, is to be the number one undefeated warrior. And it is like, I think there's a demo up right now, if I'm not mistaken. Go and watch the intro to this game because it will personally call you out. Like the wording and the language that she uses to talk about building herself up is the pull yourself up by your bootstraps, push your limits, don't allow weakness, keep pushing yourself, and it's a lot of kind of language you hear for me specifically from people in this side of the industry where we're all like losing sleep and trying our best to get the hottest and fastest things out as quickly as possible, and we're all trying to build up our own brands and get our names out there and stuff, and sometimes you overwork yourself, and burnout is such a huge problem in this industry for that reason. So she talks a lot about this, and she's talking about burnout. She's talking about pushing past her limits over and over and over again. And it's all been towards this goal that she's obtained of being the greatest and the best, and it was all worth it. And then suddenly she's defeated. And she's like, it's because I've been complacent. I got lazy. I'll push myself 10 times harder. I'll keep going and never give myself a break, which sounds like a great idea, right? But it ends up it's so well and personally presented. So she ends up attempting to find the mythical, semi-heroic Master Winters. She's going off into the woods to find this great master who's going to train her back up to be the best in the world again. But along the way, she pushes herself to a limit that finally just breaks her. She can literally and figuratively no longer lift her sword. Her sword is too heavy for her. This is something that's been a part of her, an extension of herself for the past however long of her adult life. And suddenly she can't lift it. And she abandons it. And she tries to even push herself farther. And her body literally collapses under her. She cannot go any further. And then you wake up, and it's such a great moment, because this is a moment of like, the story is very serious. It's got very serious themes, but it's got some amazing pieces of humor. So you wake up and there's this like gigantic hulking figure who looks like he should be an evil person. He's sitting next to you on a bench and just going, hi. You're like, what? And this is Boro, who is in charge of Wanderstop, the name of the shop that makes tea. And he has taken you in as you collapsed. And as long as you can't pick up your sword anymore, why don't you just stop here and make tea and relax? So it sounds like a setup for a kind of traditional cozy game. It's not. It's not. Like, prepare yourselves, because it's got a lot of that in the gameplay elements. You are making tea. It's got a lot of whimsy to it. You are meeting characters. You are helping with their lives and getting to know them. Going out and picking each individual ingredient when you're making tea. It's like this huge multi-story apparatus that requires various different things, and you've got some elements of like gardening going on. But things very quickly make it apparent that you are not going to just drink a cup of tea and then life's great. She starts digging into like trauma in her life, in her childhood, that she saw this happen. She was in a state of not feeling safe, not feeling secure, and her not knowing where she was going to live, not knowing where her money is coming from. And like, as a human does, taking the wrong lesson from that and being like, if weakness wasn't a problem, we would have been better off.
Yeah.
And blaming the fear and the hurt and the trauma on something someone can control, rather than understanding that it was beyond control and was no one's fault. And she's looking at this as an adult, being like, I recognized later on that it was not controllable, but I still can't feel that way. I still feel resentful about that, as if that could have been controlled. And it's like, oh, we're not going to get to the point where it's like everything's all lovey-dovey and we go off into the woods and sing. Like, this person's always going to be how they are.
Yeah.
And then bad things start happening. So, this is not going to be a traditional cozy game, but it's got a lot of really cool elements to it. So go check that out. March 11th, I believe, is the release date for that.
The Eyes of March.
No, is it March 15th?
Is it March 11th?
I think it's
no, March 15th. I think you're right. I'm sorry. I got my history wrong there. Yeah, I mean, when you were saying that too, it made me think of like how tied to identity you are to your job or what you do, right? And the fact that she had to put that down and like reinvent, almost reinvent herself. Like, oh,
Right.
wow, this sounds like a
Like, she's
fantastic
really
game.
not doing a good job, though.
No,
At
she's
least
not.
the way I'm playing her.
Yeah.
She, like, the first customer that comes in, I essentially, like, grab them by the throat and try to, like, pour tea. Because they're like, oh, no, I'm good. Like, no, you want tea.
You want tea. This will make you feel better.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that one.
I am too.
That's soon. What else do you have?
Okay. I'm looking at this list and I'm like, I just talked for however long on one game. So I'm like, I have to pick really good games here. I want to shout out Love Eternal, which you spoke about a little bit.
Yeah. Love
It
Eternal.
is supposedly coming this year. We don't have an exact date. That's
Hey, wait. That's a horror game.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. You're right.
Yeah. See?
It's a precision platformer.
Yeah.
You start and you're playing as a teenager. You're just sitting down to a normal family dinner. You're kind of sassing back to your parents, and then boom, the world changes. You're in the like shattered remains of your bombed out house, and you have no idea what's happened. And I'm told it's about love, like Love Eternal. I tried to ask what the title was about for the creator, and he was like, it's in there. You'll see. I'm like, okay, we'll see. But
Because I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
I didn't see the Love Eternal that was happening. But absolutely gorgeous look to it and gorgeous feel to it.
Yeah,
this is a good feeling game.
Yeah. It's very like it has the juice. Is what
I wanted to sing the corn song. It's got the juice.
What? Like, wait, what?
The kids out there will know what I'm talking about.
The corn song?
The corn. I like corn, like the kid. That's. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Jake.
I was thinking corn.
I was thinking
like
the corn, the band.
Corn,
Yeah.
no.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But you can sing a corn song if you would like as well. I mean, the actual vegetable.
When you were singing it, I was like, I don't really listen to corn, but from what I know,
they've changed.
They've changed. They really sold out. Let me tell you.
I also want to shout out Winter Burrow.
Oh yeah.
This is a game that debuted during the Microsoft showcase. I want to say during like all the Summer Game Fest festivity time periods. This is absolutely beautiful, hand-drawn, sort of storybook looking game. It is a survival crafting game essentially, but you play as a mouse. And it also looks like it should be really cute and adorable, but it gets really dark really fast. People die, people be dying, you be killing people, you be maybe like feeding off their corpses.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Maybe,
like we can't be sure.
We
don't know what's happening to them. But it is, as survival games tend to be, you need to make sure you are eating, you need to make sure that you are keeping warm because you're in the middle of winter. You're finding a bunch of characters who may or may not be helping you through this experience. And it's just got a really beautiful look to it. It's got a really fun gameplay loop. And it's really dark. I love a cute dark game. And I'm realizing that my whole list is kind of like, it looks cute, but it's super dark.
Yeah. And hey, can I just make a plug real quick? If that interests you, I actually interviewed the developer too. So you can go back and listen to my interview, and we talk about how do you craft a cute looking survival game. So we talk about that. So yeah,
it's a good topic. Go check it out. I also, just to go a little wild here, Promise Mascot Agency is coming this year.
Oh yes.
This one doesn't even try to be cute. I mean, it's sort of, but it's just off the hinges to begin with.
Yes.
You are playing as, like, I want to say Yakuza.
Yeah.
And you are starting up a new life, and apparently that means you're running an agency for mascots in Japan.
See, reinventing yourself.
But none of them are like normal, cute little creatures. It's like your main mascot is like a pinky. So you're literally like, it's called Pinky, and it's a finger, and it's like go and watch any of the trailers. They're so freaking weird.
I'm watching it.
You're just like on a car doing flips or something. I'm like, I don't know what the game is going to be, but I'm so in.
Yeah, that game looks really, really interesting and just so bizarre, and just like I'm super excited about this game. That game looks really, really
Amazing.
I think the last one, and I'm double checking because I feel like we just got news about its release dates. I'll double check. But spring of this year, we are looking at Blue Prince.
Oh, Blueprints, yes.
I'm so excited for this.
Yeah.
It's essentially, if you've ever played Betrayal at House on the Hill, the board game, it is that game, but in virtual space as a video game. So you are a young adult. You discover that some sort of like great uncle you've never really heard of dies, and he's left you his entire estate, with the only caveat being you have to find the 47th room of a 46-room mansion. So you go, essentially gameplay loop, you walk into the entryway of this mansion, and every door you walk through, you get 3 card tiles. You pick one of the tiles and you put it down, and that becomes the new room that you enter. And that room might have some kind of riddle to solve. It might have some kind of item to pick up. It might not have anything. It might be something of interest for later. It might have some kind of connection with another room in the house. So like one of the earlier ones that I picked up was a kind of an electrical cabinet room. I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I continued on and I found, I think it was like a garage that once you get the electricity on, the garage opens and you can go out into the car space, and there's more like outside area that you can check out. So it's sort of, a lot of the rooms connect to each other, but you can only go so far because your steps, which is kind of your stamina, is a limited finite thing. So you have to be very careful about how many times you take a step or walk through a threshold, because you can only go so far, and you're trying to build out as far as you can and reveal the mystery in the middle of this grand thing. So it's all about, like, you know, I'm a huge fan of Tunic. Tunic's one of my favorite games of all time. So it's very much this things hidden in plain sight. Secrets is a main part of the game. Like, I'm gonna spoil something right now. Prepare yourselves. And I've spoiled this like on stream before. If you don't know, you wouldn't know. But instead of going into the house, you can actually turn around, and there's a front yard and stuff you can do there, which will help later on and get you like buffs and stuff. So like, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you know, you know, but you wouldn't know unless you knew it, sort of situation. So it's all about exploration and puzzle solving on a lot of different levels, because like some of the riddles, you know, it's the fun little, you've got 3 boxes, and one of the boxes and like a letter says like, one of them always lies, one of them always tells the truth, and one of them has a thing in it, and you have to like decide which one is which, and maybe you do and you get a prize, maybe you don't. And it's just such a cool concept, and I think this is going to be a huge game for this year, so everyone go check it out. Also, having said the name of this game over and over again, I finally figured out the play on word that Blue Prince is like blueprints.
Blueprints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, when you were saying that, because I actually listened to the episode where you guys were talking about that game too. It reminded me of and so I just went a different route with this. Remind me of the story of Bluebeard, which is I think it's a Grimm story. I think it's a Grimm story, and it's about this guy who takes on these wives. He takes these wives on, and like they have to try to escape his house to survive. And every time they go into like a different room, and it's like a different look, different feel to it. And somebody made, when I was at PAX East last year, somebody made like a one-shot type game on Bluebeard, and you play as these women trying to like
that's
solve the
fun.
riddles of trying to get out of this house, right? And that reminded me very much of that in the
Yeah.
same kind of sense.
It is kind of like Brothers Grimm coded
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. So that's cool. It sounds cool. I'm not sure because it sounds a little scary. I don't know if I want to play it, but it's
I don't think it's going to be scary in that way. I think you're
Okay,
going to be good. I think
It kind of looks like Clue in a way.
a little
Like,
bit.
yeah,
okay.
it looks cool though.
Okay.
Add it
I
to the
mean,
wish
I
list.
say that. I did get Mansion of Madness for Christmas actually.
That's an intense setup.
Yeah. But no, I'm excited to play that too. So I shouldn't say like I don't play horror. I mean, I do play horror-esque type games.
Right.
It's just-
This is not. It's not really a horror game. It's it's more like Clue is probably a good touchstone for the tone.
Okay.
I don't think there's any murder.
Yeah.
Like you don't know how this guy died. You don't know what's going on. There's some kind of secret going on.
Yeah.
But there is a demo up right now.
Okay.
So you can go check that out.
Nice.
I could say I've got 50 other games to throw out, but I think I'm gonna save everybody some time and be like, those are the ones I'm gonna throw out here.
Well, I think we'll have you on because usually we have you on in the middle of the year too. We'll probably have you come back on and we'll talk about as we start learning more about like other games, because I'm sure there's more games we'll be releasing. We'll be like, oh my god, never knew this game's coming out. So cool. I do want to spend a little time before we head out talking about games that we're currently playing. Jill, do you want to talk about some games you're currently playing?
So really the honest answer to this, some of them I can't talk about, but some of them it's mostly demos because we are in the lead up to Steam Next Fest.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on this year in particular. This is a very unusual move. But a lot of games in anticipation of Steam Next Fest have put their demos out. And a lot of them starting this like today.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I think maybe because they realized there are so many demos to play during Steam Next Fest. But yeah, there are a ton of games to go and check out. So the ones I wanted to call out specifically, Duck Detective: The Ghost of Glamping has a demo out right now. This is the sequel to the original Duck Detective: The Secret Salami, which was a cult hit, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A very light version of The Golden Idol, if you have played those games. If you've played those games and they're a little challenging and just a little bit like more beyond what you want to do to relax and have fun, the Duck Detective series is a great one to go check out. It's very silly. You are playing a duck and you are a detective, and it's a very noir detective. So he's like, yeah, and so I was sitting there and my girl dumped me, and I'm just like, dang, okay, we're getting serious right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something that was announced fairly recently. So they have a demo up right now. And the other one I'm looking, Spray Paint Simulator has a new demo out.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, it's Power Wash Sim, if you've played that, is a really great touchstone, but it's sort of the opposite because you're spray painting. You are actually going around painting things. It's very relaxing.
I hope they have a crossover.
Yeah, that would be so good.
That would be so
I
cool.
can't, now they've said it, I'm like, I can't understand if they don't. Essentially.
Very fun. Yeah, I will say, like, my email is just filled with please check out
existential
this
dread.
demo. Oh my gosh. I know. I feel bad because, like, Zeb and Jake, I'm really far behind my emails with, like, sending out, like, hey, guys, here's a bunch of opportunities. Because it's just, I mean, I think, Jill, you can attest to this. There's so many. I'm just inundated. Like, I'm not kidding. I look at my email, and, like, within 5 minutes, I'll get, like, 5 games. I was like, oh, my gosh, I can't keep up. It's hard to keep up right now. So it's cool. It's exciting. Like, that's really exciting for me. I'm like, oh, look at all these fun games. But, oh, my goodness, it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
My co-host on the Indie Council, Mike Toundrow, was saying it's his personal goal to not put a bunch of demos up saying he's going to do. He's going to, like, he's going to sit down, he's going to download, and he's going to play, like, the one he's going to play, and then he'll leave. Instead of what I'm going to do is put, like, hundreds of demos and downloads and pretend like I'm going to play them all, you know?
Yeah. Awesome. Jake, what have you been playing?
So I've been getting back into Destiny a bit.
I
That's
saw you
kind of
and Zeb both playing Destiny. Huh?
yeah.
Stephanie too, or no?
Yep.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
Trina.
And Trina.
And
Okay.
Trina, yeah.
I'm glad you guys invite me. That's great. I mean,
Hey, you're always
Only the
welcome.
best, Roger.
Yeah. So they came out with their new seasonal story stuff, so everyone's kind of been into that, and then they just came out with the new dungeon as well. That is pretty cool. It's kind of different from what they've done before, and it's almost got some like Zelda puzzly kind of vibes to it, which is very interesting for Destiny. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, just playing that, and then I've also been kind of booting up No Man's Sky again. It's kind of one of those games you pick up, you play a bunch of it, put it down, and come back like a couple months later, and
yeah,
you're like, I don't remember what I was doing.
yeah.
There's too much to do. So,
yes, I agree.
But I finally did beat the story for that game.
Nice.
I got it when it first came out and never finished the story. So
Congrats,
like,
we've done it. Woo!
yeah,
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
10 years later, I think. So
But didn't they just come out with a bunch of new planets or something like that? Wasn't this whole the whole thing with that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Did we
They
just
have
talk about
gas
this last
giants now.
Did we talk about this last time? I don't remember.
I
feel
think
like
so, yeah.
Oh,
I think me and Roger were talking about it at some
I
point.
think so. I think it was an episode where you and I were just on the episode.
Yeah,
maybe, 'cause
yeah,
we were talking
probably.
about it. Yeah.
So yeah, that I've been digging deep into my old games, and I'm replaying Zelda Link Between Worlds.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You ever played that one on the 3DS? So it's kind of, I think it's supposed to be similar to a remake of Link to the Past, where there's kind of two worlds on top of each other. But in this game, you can turn into a picture, and you kind of flatten yourself onto walls and stuff like that, and you kind of use that to your advantage to get through puzzles and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's a
cool.
really fun game. So yeah,
I'm surprised they never brought that to the Switch, because I feel like that being left on the 3DS was a shame, because
If they bring that before like Majora's Mask, I will riot. I will riot.
You'll riot?
Yes. I need a
Majora's
new
Mask
version of Majora's Mask.
Oh,
right
a new
now.
version.
Like an HD proper. Bring it to yeah.
Like a Link's Awakening.
It's got
kind
a
of thing.
3DS remake, but it's not gotten like a Switch.
Well, it's on
proper-
the Switch Online though, right?
yeah,
Is
but
it?
that's the
Like,
old version.
It's the old
It's
like
the old
3D.
version,
Yeah.
which is still it's
fine.
Majora's. I love Majora's Mask.
It's the best.
Yeah,
Me and Jake are the same person. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, I finished Wind Waker HD. That was another one that I never played. I didn't have a GameCube growing up and stuff like that. So 25 years later, I finally got to beat it. However,
I need
long
some
it-
confetti.
Yeah.
Is it really that long? Jeez, it feels like doesn't feel
Probably.
like that long. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, because
maybe like 20.
No, I think 25 sounds right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that game is so pretty. Like even on GameCube, it was pretty. Like the cell shading to it is just so
Like
well
the
done.
funny thing about it though, having like outing myself for how old I am, having been like alive and in like interested in games and the gaming sphere when it was announced and coming out, people hated the way it looked. It was people were incensed with the look of this game, and how dare they not do because like there were so many like things that popped up before that announcement of like this is what like a Zelda game could look like with today's amazing graphics. But
you should play Sail Forth if you liked Wind Waker.
Oh, okay.
It has the same kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And you're basically sailing around. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a cool game.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite sailing games.
Can we have a list, Roger, of your favorite
sailing games? Yeah. There's like probably 5. Did you play that game, Jill, at PAX last year?
I think I was gonna say I think I did, but now I'm like, did or did I like pass it and talk with people about it?
He had a steering wheel. He had a ship steering wheel.
Then no, I did not.
That was connected to a Switch controller. It was the coolest thing. So yeah, he had it like, it was so cool. It was really neat. Yeah.
The only thing I have an interesting fact about sailing, which I now have to say. I learned to sail at the United Kingdom Sailing Academy when I was 15.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Cool.
Wait, what? Wait.
That's a real fact. That's a real thing that happened in my life.
Did you live in the UK?
That's just lore we're gonna have to figure out at some point.
I know. I hope that they make a game of your life one day, and that in that game we can sail. We learn how to sail. That'd be amazing.
Onward,
yes. Very cool. Zeb, what have you been playing?
Like Clob said, Destiny. Been feeling pretty good about this episode. Seems to be getting everyone back into the game, which feels good. And besides that, I just beat Horizon Forbidden West's base game yesterday, and I started the DLC today, Burning Shores, and pretty fun. Not as big of a map as I was hoping it'd add,
but Burning Shores is fun for me specifically. Probably doesn't mean anything to y'all because it's like in my backyard. I'm I know what this is. I know what this landscape or landmark is. Cool. This is so cool.
But did you like oh no, now I can't remember what it was called. It's not Destiny. It was the game that came out around Destiny 1.
Division?
No, it was a futuristic game. Oh my gosh, now I can't think of what it's called. Starts with a D as well. Oh my god, now I can't. It was a TV show. It was a TV show / video game.
I know what you're talking about. It was that
Defiance
show.
Defiance. That also took place in your backyard.
I probably skipped that one, Roger.
I love Defiance. It was
I was so excited for that.
Yeah,
the game affected the show and vice versa.
It didn't really. It didn't really. It was like a great idea. It didn't really happen. Didn't really.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I derailed you. What else have you been playing, Zap?
That's really about it. And because I'm going on a little road trip this weekend, I loaded up my Steam Deck with Balatro and Witcher, and probably some demos now.
Yeah, play some demos. Keep driving on your Steam Deck because it plays quite well, and then you can be road tripping while you're road tripping.
Yeah, that would be so meta. That would be so meta. You totally should do that. For myself, I played the demo of Ruffy in the Riverside.
Yes.
That was really fun. So I streamed that, so you can go check that out. And then I put my thoughts up on our site at gamerheadspodcast.com with the stream, so you can check that out. I did play and reviewed Ender Magnolia. Really enjoyed that game a lot. It is such a gorgeous game. I loved it at PAX West, and that's one of the reasons it won one of our awards. And then, when we had the opportunity to play it, it was phenomenal. Such a phenomenal game. I'm normally not very good at platformers or Metroidvanias, but this game, I don't know, is just really, like you said, there's a lot of intuitive stuff that they add to the game that just makes it easy to be they fill this whole area full of blue, so now I know I covered everything in this area, so I don't have to explore this area anymore. It's really fun, and it's such a gorgeous game, and the music is really good too. And then I also played and reviewed Spirit Swap.
I love it.
Spirit Swap is so good. I was playing that today during my lunch break too.
It's dangerous. I can't play it during play it during breaks anymore because I'll think I've only played for 15 minutes and then it'll be 2 hours later.
Yes. That game is so good. And I wanted more of the story. I mean, the story is really good, and I really loved the thing I took away from this game is the fact that it's not a story about competition, but it's about helping each other out, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, so like this doesn't give it away, but you play as a spirit swapper, so basically somebody that chases spirits away, like from the realm,
like a magical witch type
Yes.
person who specializes in the swapping of spirits.
Yes. And the swapping of spirits is a match 3 game, right? That's how you swap the spirits. And as she's supposed to be her day off, and all of a sudden these spirits start just inundating like her life, and she's like, what's going on here? And then she starts going to her friend's house, and she's realizing all these spirits are like showing up there as well. And then you have little competitions with your friends, but it's more than just the competitions, but it's like healing the friends as well as she's going through, and also healing herself too, like connecting with her friends. But really it's more about like making connections with those people and healing them. And there's one in particular, just that conversation where like on the outside he seemed like he was just really strong, and nobody ever asked him how he's doing. And I don't know, it was just a really powerful moment for me, you know, especially. It was just like, oh, like how often do I just forget to ask my friends who seem to have their shit together, like, how are you doing? Yeah. And it's just, you know, in a time where we live right now, where I feel like everything is competition and putting each other down and just kind of
dog eat dog.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good uplifting game.
It's also, by the way, side note, very important, really, really hot queer characters. Like so attractive.
Yes. And well voice acted too. Like I just like everything I liked about this game. And it's very colorful. I said like the colors, like I don't know if they meant this or not, but it really reminds me of like arcade, like the music and the colors. And I said this in my review too. Like one of the things I think that is really overlooked a lot, because when it's done well, it's just kind of forgotten about, but it's well designed. Like everything fits really well together in this game. And when that happens, sometimes you forget about like how important that is, right? Because it's just like, oh, well, look at that, it's well designed. When you play a lot of games, you're like, oh, this was good, but maybe the music wasn't good, or something didn't fit. Like everything, it knew its identity, and that's what I love about this game. So you can read my review. Jill also you put up like a
I have an impressions piece up as well.
So you can, and you streamed it as well, so you can go check that out on your
it was
site.
a really relaxed stream, Roger. Like borderline unprofessional.
So check that out. And then there's some games I can't, same with you, Jill, I can't really talk about right now, but I'm excited to talk about them when I can, because it's cool stuff that I'm playing, but I can't really talk about it right now. So I think that's it. Let's wrap it up before we head out. Let's tell people how they can find us. Jill, where can people read your stuff? I know you mentioned it, but let's mention it again. Where can people find you and read your stuff?
You can check out all of my content at theindieinformer.com. We're on socials, mainly Blue Sky is where you're going to find theindieinformer.com, and also a part of the Indie Council, which is also on Blue Sky, so you can go and check those out to go into the rabbit holes as far as you dare.
Jake, where can people find you on social media?
So I'm on Blue Sky as well at Clobbinson, CLOBBINSON. And then you can also read some of my reviews at the Gamerhead Podcast website.
Yeah. Nice. Zeb, what about you? Where can people find you?
I'm on Blue Sky at ZBear, and then I'm on Twitch supposedly, Mr. Z Bear. Still need to start streaming again, but that's where I am.
Nice. And listeners, you can find us on Blue Sky at gamerheadspodcast.com. You can find me on Blue Sky at Rogue Leader 76. And you can go to our website at gamerheadspodcast.com, where you can read our reviews and news and see our streams and such. We do stream on every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And that's at twitch.com/gamerheads. Well, twitch.tv/gamerheads podcast. And then finally, some big news. We're also on Open Critic. So we just got accepted Open Critic. So slowly I'm adding all our reviews to Open Critic. I think I have almost 20 up now, but only like 130 more to go. And then we got them all there. Got them all on there. So. But it was important to at least I get one review that all of you, so I shared with all of you, saying, hey, here's your page. Congratulations, you have a review on Open Critic. So that was very exciting. Jill, thank you so much for joining us this week. I really appreciate it. It was really fun having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Jake, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you.
Seb, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Always a pleasure.
And listeners, thank you so much for giving us a listen. Go follow Jill, give her a listen on the Indie Council. Check out her website at theinformer.com. Follow her on Blue Sky as well. And leave us and her a review, because we, want to hear what you have to say about our shows as well. With that, everyone, stay safe and game on. Talk to you next week. Bye.